So I've got it out of the car and you can see a side-by-side comparison. It definitely looks to me like this is a more heavy-duty unit than this is, obviously. And as you can see, it's also adjustable. And that is the whole point of what we're doing here. So let's work on getting that clutch pedal assembly out of there. Okay, so after removing all the bolts that it said to remove and removing this switch from back here, this was the dead pedal all the way on the left-hand side. I had to remove that. Also the other lower bolt for the dead pedal so it would kind of swing out of the way. Yeah, that was much more of a pain in the butt than I thought it would be. But it's out, so we're making progress. I'm actually going to go ahead and remove this bolt at this time and put a bit of grease in there because I have a little bit of a squeaky clutch pedal, and man, I hate that. It just annoys the living crap out of me. So I'm going to do that, grease that up, and then I'm going to start working on tapping this hole here. It said to tap the hole 7/8 of an inch above where the current one is, and you're going to use the supplied drill bit, the supplied tap, and this little piece here is what's going to thread into it for you to connect your new master cylinder swivel. And I actually like the way that looks a lot better. This is plastic, but this has got a grease fitting on it and everything, so you can actually grease this up, stopping the squeaking that you may have in your pedal. I like that. The next thing you want to do is drill your pilot hole for where you're going to mount your new stud. Now, this was pretty nice. They supplied the drill bit, they supplied the tap, and here's the new nut that's going to be installed there. Make sure you measure 7/8 of an inch, center to center, where you're going to put it, and make sure you center it across this way, the width way as well, and then use a center punch so that when you start to drill down, the drill bit doesn't try to walk around on you. So, make sure you drill a nice straight hole perpendicular to here, and then run your threads through there. It's probably not a bad idea to check where the drill bit's going just to make sure that you don't screw this up. We're looking good. Still looking good. Now obviously I haven't done this, but probably not a bad idea to put a little bit of cutting oil or a little squirt of WD-40 or something in there just to help lubricate the drill bit. But honestly, all that's really going to do is just shorten the life of the drill bit, and you only have to use this once. But it's actually starting to make that squeaking noise, which means it's starting to get dull, so I'm going to go get a little WD-40, squirt it down in there, finish drilling my hole. Once you go to start tapping your threads, though, you are going to have to use some cutting oil or something to make sure it doesn't overheat too much and is properly lubricated, because you don't want to break this off in there. Once again, it's aluminum. It's going to be a little difficult to do that, but it is possible. So I've got my hole drilled. The next thing you want to do is tap out your threads. Want to make sure that this goes in nice and perpendicular to the hole. Now, if you have a tap and die set, the little T handle that comes on that is perfect for this here. I don't have one of those, but you can get by just using a little crescent wrench like this. Again, just making sure that it goes in perpendicular. And you want to take this part slow and keep checking your alignment as you're going in. So I've got the thread started a little bit. I'm going to give it a little squirt of WD-40 so we've got some lubrication in there. And the principle behind what you're doing here, just so you kind of know what's happening, is what you want to do is thread it in a little and you'll start feeling resistance. Once that happens, you want to back it out a little bit and just kind of go back and forth. See, I'm just double checking to make sure everything is going in nice and perpendicular. So thread it in a little. You don't want to use too much force here because, like I said, you're just cutting threads. So then wobble it back and forth a little, you'll feel it loosen up. Give it a few more turns, or a couple more turns, until you start to feel some more resistance. Then give it a few turns back and forth, let it cut in nice and good. And just continue doing this. Make sure you keep it lubricated really well and go all the way through that hole. Make sure that this comes out on the back side. And you see these tabs go in, they're going to be able to go through this nicely. So yeah, keep doing that and get this thing tapped out all the way. So believe it or not, I'm just going to start following the instructions. It's probably a little easier that way. The instructions say the next thing to do is to remove this black plastic piece here and install it onto here. The way you do that is by removing this little clip. Just kind of push it up a little bit, pull it out like that. Make sure you don't lose these little clips, man. You're going to need these later when you're reinstalling everything. So you've got that out, and you want to install it onto your new unit. You can see these fittings are the same. Make sure your O-ring is in place. You don't want to lose any of that business. So slide it on to the new coupling, and where did I just put my spring down? There it is. Slide it back into place. Well, oh shit, it's got to be it's got to be pushed all the way on and then slide the clip back in, obviously. So I just messed that up a little. No big deal, just pull it back out. This is a bit tricky, as you might be able to tell, but not too terrible. It's a little bit spring loaded, so that's why it wanted to pop back out on me. So there we go, I've got that installed. The next bit to do is go ahead and get this unit inside the car. Actually, let me consult the instructions to see what it says to do next before I go do that. Actually, you know what? We probably got to put the clutch pedal assembly back in. So probably the next step would be to drill that hole I was talking about, get this assembly back in, and then install this unit. So I'm going to do that first after checking the instructions, obviously, to make sure that's what I'm supposed to do. So yeah, once you got everything tapped out, go ahead and clean it up really well. Use a little compressed air, whatever you've got, to clean that up. And let's check the instructions, see what the next steps are. Okay, so what it said to do next was go ahead and install the pedal box back into the car. Take this little rubber piece and trim it, and then place it into that hole in the firewall before installing your new master cylinder. It also said to remove this piece and this, but I can't get this to come off on mine, so I just removed that for now. But I'm going to go ahead and put the pedal box back in and then see about getting this master cylinder in there.